Ah, Cuphead. I had some good times with that game.
Come on, I was so freaking close!
I parried, I pressed the freaking button! How was anyone supposed to dodge all that?
Oh my freaking gosh!
Honey, I want a divorce!
Get the weed killer!
Those hips don't lie, but they also won't die!
If I only had a heart that I could crush!
No one told me you're supposed to jump in this game!
Why is this level so impossible?
Don't you dare roll a 1! Don't you dare roll a 1! What are you doing in a barbershop quartet? You don't even have any hair! Finger guns. I just got that. That's funny.
Come on!
Yeah, those were my good times. The bad times are not legal in most countries. Okay, in all seriousness though, Cuphead is a freaking masterpiece. I doubt anyone's gonna fight me on that. Whether you see it as a love letter to an underserved gaming genre, a celebration of 1930s animation, a complete rush to play, a complete spectacle to watch, or a hilarious bout that takes 30 years off most streamers' lives, it seems like there's something for everyone to sip in this melting cup of creativity. When I first played Cuphead, I had the gaming skills of a geriatric platypus. So many of the early game bosses just took me to town and hung me out to dry. Heck, I once did a 4-hour stream on Twitch where I started the game fighting Grim Matchstick and ended the game fighting Grim Matchstick. I wasted 4 hours and I still didn't beat him. But coming back to it recently, I must have really improved as a gamer, since I managed to breeze through the rest of the bosses with ease. I snuffed out Matchstick, sent Briny Beard to the Briny Deep, taught Rumor Honeybottom how to behave, and even gave the devil a deal he couldn't refuse.
What's the matter, little fella? Bad at video games?
Ha ha ha! Not anymore, you Mickey Mouse mug! I smoked your rogues gallery, so go cry back home to your elder kettle, and tell Bendy I said hi. As a whole, our relationship started off rough, but I love Cuphead to freaking pieces. And when I heard that the franchise was getting its own Netflix series, I thought that was a genius idea. If the show utilized the same style and tone as the game, it could introduce modern day kids to a genre of timeless off-the-wall entertainment from an era long since past, like the ultimate animation throwback hit. Not to mention that they could really experiment with the fun, bizarro world that the game has crafted, by coming up with unique stories and even answering some of the fandom's most burning questions. I still want to know what that stuff in Cuphead's cup actually is. Is it his soul? His brain? Is it supposed to be milk? Milk is good for your bones, so does that explain his boneheaded move to play a round of craps with the freaking devil? Game theory. Cuphead's an idiot. So yeah, an idea like this is absolutely bleeding with potential from all sides. But did the creators take advantage of it? Well, a title like that doesn't leave much to the imagination, but yeah, they did. They pretty much crafted the perfect cartoon. Not a perfect show or even a perfect animated series, but when it comes to capturing the pure essence of what a cartoon is, I think they absolutely nailed it, and I'm about to show you why. Keep in mind that these are just my personal thoughts, and if you have any thoughts, criticisms, favorite moments, or favorite episodes of the show yourself, you're free to leave them in the comments below.
So hang on tight to your trousers, folks, because a review is surely brewing. Let's begin!
The first aspect we're gonna look at is hands down the most important. If you're gonna be a Cuphead show, you gotta look the part. Walk the walk and talk the talk, if you know what I mean. And it turns out that the show was in great hands in that regard. Chad and Jared Moldenhauer, the bros behind the original game, are also executive producers for the show, and it was their goal, along with show developer Dave Wasson, to bring the magic and spirit of the rubber hose era to a new generation. When the bros were first developing the Cuphead game, they talked about the animation that they consumed in their youth. While other kids their age were indulged in the Thundercats and the He-Mans and the new style Ninja Tortoise, they were spending their time watching bargain bin VHS tapes of old Fletcher Studios and Silly Symphonies cartoons. They were enthralled by the insane, bouncy, off-the-wall animation that they were witnessing, with certain works like Disney's famous Skeleton Dance pretty much being burned into their memories forever. And when they showed these animations to their other young friends, they were surprised to learn that they had never seen this style of animation before, leading to a similar eye-opening experience that the brothers had when they first watched them. This was pretty much their primary goal when it came to the Cuphead show, to introduce an entire generation of kids to this unique style of entertainment that they more than likely have never witnessed before. I mean, present-day kids tend to grow up on stuff like 3D Disney Pixar, Flash animated TV shows, CGI series. whatever the heck this is. And unless they have animation buff parents who raise them on these kind of cartoons, it's unlikely that they'll ever see them. So the brothers hoped that when kids watch the Cuphead show, they would get the same eye-popping sense of discovery that they got when they were kids. A sense of, wow, I've never seen that before! That will hopefully breed a new appreciation for this kind of art form. And in order to accomplish this, they put together quite the team. The majority of the visuals were handled by Lighthouse Studios, a group of animators based in dear old Ireland. They obviously didn't use any hand-drawn cells or painted backdrops like the game, because that would liquefy the budget almost instantly, but their digital ink and paper drawings still emulate the game's style really well. They gave us all manner of over-the-top expressions, squash and stretchy movements, bizarro set pieces, and gorgeous backgrounds. It's almost uncanny how close they get to the real thing sometimes. And if that wasn't enough, the artists wear their inspirations on their freaking sleeves by throwing in tons of references to animated works of yesteryear, and of course nods to the game that got this whole train rolling in the first place. Just seeing Cuphead hike up his pants before playing Soul Ball, or seeing the devil paint a fence Sorcerer's Apprentice style, was enough to put this huge goofy grin on my face. They even made sure to include the all-important film grain effect.
Oh, such dignity!
But we're not done yet. Did any of you notice certain realistic looking bits in a couple of the clips I showed you? Well, you're not going nuts because the show did incorporate a couple of live action set pieces on occasion. All of which are thanks to screen novelties. And if you don't know who they are, you know who they are because they've had their hands in pretty much every cartoon this side of the planet. They've worked on the original pilot films for Robot Chicken, they've done stop-motion sequences for Family Guy, Flapjack, and Adventure Time, they've handled puppetry for those weird credit sequences at the end of Chowder episodes, and my personal favorite, the 2 stop-motion SpongeBob specials. Considering that the original game made use of live action, like Grimm's Tower and Jimmy's Palace being actual models, or the opening being an actual binded book that they flipped through, it only makes sense to utilize live action in the show as well. And just like Screen Novelty's other works, it looks awesome. Locations like the Devil's Throne Room and the spooky graveyard feel so real you could touch them. They even combine 2D animation and 3D props to mimic old school animation techniques. Like the first shot of the first episode, it uses what's called the stereoscopic radial process, which involves 2D animation being tracked over a 3D sculpted miniature background. Pretty cool stuff. Sadly, there weren't any stop-motion characters in the first season, it's mostly just backgrounds, but if they do get more ambitious with later seasons, I would love to see Screen Novelties show off some of their other talents, like puppetry. Heck, if they ever use Jimmy the Great in the show, make that Cuphead puppet of his a real-life puppet. That would be freaking genius. If it wasn't obvious already, this show is a visual wonderland with so much attention to detail, it's almost criminal. But hey, we're not just a couple of floating pairs of eyes here. We need more than just pretty pictures. What else you got? Well, story-wise, each episode follows a self-contained format with very light continuity and certain narrative changes. Like Cuphead still owes the devil his soul like in the game, but instead of gambling at a casino, he plays skee-ball at the carnival. And many episodes of the series involve old BLZ trying to claim what is rightfully his. This is another element that really ties into the old cartoony style, because every main character needs their big, jerky, recurring baddie. Mickey had Pete, Popeye had Bluto, and Cuphead has Satan himself. Yeah, just a silly rivalry with the Lord of all evil, it's all good. The stories at their core are pretty basic, with simple setups and conflicts, but again, this is keeping in tune with what older cartoons were like. In these kinds of shows, the plot and setting were usually just an excuse to get the characters in wacky scenarios, so the creators can go all out with their obscene visuals and crazy characters. And Cuphead follows suit, with episodes like Ghost Saying Real, which just lock our main duo in the graveyard and have them be haunted by some grim-grinning ghosts for 15 minutes. There's no real deeper meaning or philosophical talk in the show, just a goofy, fun time held together by imaginative visuals, silly humor, and simple but charming characterization. Speaking of characterization, let's dive into that a bit. Trust me, this won't take too long. Like I said, the characters are simple but very endearing, and I do want to see them get through hardships when times get rough. Our titular Cuphead is the headstrong adventurous type who'll do anything he can to have a good time, even if it involves breaking a few rules. He can be a bit of an idiot at times, but he makes for a fun protagonist nonetheless, and it's nice to see him get comeuppance every now and then when he's being a brat. Mugman is the more cautious, level-headed, and intelligent of the bros, who's usually the one to cut CH down to size when he's being reckless. He's got his own flaws as well, like being a big scaredy cat most of the time, and it's usually up to his more adventurous brother to bring him out of his shell and encourage him to have some freaking fun. The Cup Bros dynamic as a whole feels very realistic. They love each other, of course, and they always have each other's backs, but they're no stranger to getting into physical and verbal scraps on occasion, sometimes to hilarious results. Like in the episode Baby Bottle, they get into an argument over the baby, and they literally sound like an old married couple.
It's like you never even wanted a baby. I didn't! Oh, well then.
These jokes are just too easy sometimes. Elder Kettle is the Cup Bros guardian and might actually be my favorite character on the show. I don't know, there's just always something about the elderly character with a spring in their step that really makes me smile. Like in half a decade when I'm pushing 80, that's the kind of guy I want to be. It's also hilarious to see him go from calm and collected to completely off his rocker in a matter of moments. He actually got his own starring episode, Dirt Nap, and it's easily among my favorites. It's honestly a shame that EK was never playable in the actual game. I mean, this guy's an all-star athlete and a military man. You guys gave us unlockables like a black and white screen filter when you should have let us jump around as this absolute unit. Come on, Molden Bros, it's not too late. Elder Kettle DLC, make it happen. Of course, there's the devil himself, who's as deliciously evil as they come. Heck, the first time we see him, he's singing a song about how much he loves collecting souls. There's not a ton to say about him, but whether he's gleefully bouncing around or pouting like a prima donna, he's always entertaining to watch. But he's not quite as entertaining as his self-proclaimed number 2, King Dice. King Dice was always my favorite character in the game. Such suave, such class, such showmanship. And I'm happy to say that this show does his character a ton of justice. When he walks onto the stage doing the Minnie the Moocher dance, you know the show is about to begin. It also helps a lot that he's voiced by Wayne Brady, and if you were obsessed with Whose Line like I was, you know this guy bleeds charisma. He's only got one appearance in Season 1, which is a major shame, but his starring episode, Roll the Dice, is easily my favorite of the season so far, so I really hope he comes back for revenge or something. And of course, I gotta bring up Little Miss Breakout Star herself, Miss Chalice. Everyone saw her cute little tap number in the trailers, everyone was excited to see her, and even though she only got one episode, I thought she was fun. She's a bit of a con artist who basically coasts through life on her cuteness and charm, and even teaches the bros to do the same thing. They're definitely building up the mystery of her character, saying that she rarely stays in the same town for very long, and revealing the fact that she's technically a ghost, just like in the game. Will they explain how she died and became the legendary Chalice? What will the Cup Bros think when they find out that their friend is a spectral being? I don't know, I guess we'll just have to wait for more seasons. Also, her rebellious attitude and the fact that she's voiced by Grey DeLise gave me massive Frida Suarez vibes, and that just made me really happy. One thing I like the most about the characterization is how a lot of it's done without even saying a word. Heck, if you want a perfect demonstration of the Cup Bros dynamic, just watch the first scene of the first episode. Here we got Elder Kettle cooking up some pancakes, he tosses a few over to Cuphead, and he catches them all on his plate, showing that life tends to go his way a lot of the time. Meanwhile, Mugman's cakes fall right on the floor, showing that he's usually pretty unlucky. Cuphead cuts his cakes in half, including the plate, and slides them over to Muggsy, showing that he does care a lot about his brother. But he does end up hogging all the syrup for himself, showing that he can be pretty selfish too. And all of this was done without a single line of dialogue. That's pretty impressive. Also, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I also like how the Cuphead Bros straws kind of show off their personalities as well. Like Cuphead having a bendy straw since he's more of a wild card, and Mugman's straw being straight since he's more straight-laced. Yeah, I should probably end this section off here. I'm pretty much grasping at straws at this point. Maybe I'm just really old school, but the comedy of the Cuphead show is on point. It is classic to the nth degree, with gags ranging from perfectly timed slapstick to just really weird absurdist ideas, not to mention giving reality the finger at every opportunity. The bros said that it was common for 1930s cartoons to just screw realism if it was in service of a gag, and I am always on board with this idea. Even if certain moments are extremely stupid when you really think about them. You are tilted 180 degrees! How does your brain juice stay in your head? There were episodes like Handle with Care and Roll the Dice which had me consistently laughing throughout the whole thing, and I'd gladly watch them again just for the laugh factor. I also really appreciate that the humor is no stranger to getting very dark on occasion, which is also very in tune with the 1930s style. Like the fact that there's a pig who's selling hot dogs, the implication that this dude died in the electric chair, and even some good old-fashioned on-screen murder. Also, this show is an absolute master of out-of-context clips, and I love it.
Take it off and I'll give you $10.
Good night, everybody.
The last thing I want to talk about is the music, since it really is the aspect that just ties everything together. Cuphead as a franchise loves its jazz, which is awesome, because so do I.
You like jazz?
I love it.
So obviously the show had to incorporate that kind of swing into its soundtrack. And while they didn't get Chris Madigan back as the composer, the guy they did hire, Ego Plum, still does a really good job. From his own words, he hired the best swingers in the area to really bring the big band sounds of Cuphead to life. And they absolutely nailed it. Not just with original tracks, but also with awesome covers from the game's OST. I can't tell you how hyped I got when the Frog and Cup Bros started fighting in episode 3, and then Clip Joint Calamity just starts up. If there's anything in this show I would have to nitpick, it would have to be the musical numbers. Most of them kinda just went in one ear and out the other without sticking that much. But some of them were nice, like Miss Chalice's song Turn Up the Charm was pretty good, or the Devil's Soul Stealing song from the pilot was nice. Though the fact that King Dice didn't get a song is really strange since Wayne Brady can actually sing. I don't know, maybe he'll get a big showstopper when he finally gets his revenge on the bros. Maybe a remixed version of Die House? We can only hope. Now look, I know for a fact that this show is not going to be for everyone. It has nothing super complex or nuanced to say, it doesn't have chasms and chasms of character depth, it's not a big serialized adventure with lore galore, but if you want a show that fully celebrates the animations of old, a show that is just proud to be a pure cartoon, then you honestly won't get much better than this. Honestly, compared to all the other shows I've binged for this channel, this is the one I most wanted to go back and rewatch once the script was over. It was just that much fun. You know I'm all for pushing the boundaries of animated storytelling, praising the strides that creators have made to tell deep philosophical tales with such a diverse and experimental medium, but Cup with legs go boosh! I'm sorry, that's entertaining. There's a reason that tunes like this have stood the test of time. They're just off-the-wall imagination and entertainment in its purest form. And if the Netflix numbers are anything to go by, it seems like a whole new generation of kids are gonna grow up with this style of entertainment after all. And that just makes me so happy. So to the guys at Netflix, congrats on an awesome show. To the guys at NHDR, good luck on the Cuphead DLC. To everyone that made it this far, thank you for watching. And to the kids who watched the show and were inspired to pick up the game for the first time, here's some duct tape for your broken fingers and dreams. I'm really sorry.